Hey, I'm Teacher Stephanie, and today I have a fun book about monsters, and this is called How I Met My Monster, and the author is Amanda Knoll. That's the person who writes the story, and it's illustrated by Howard McWilliams, and he is the person who draws the pictures to the story. This is called How I Met My Monster. Are you ready? One night, when I reached under the bed for my toy truck, I found this note instead. Monsters meet for final test, Z. Ha! My parents were obviously trying to trick me into staying into bed, but I don't believe in monsters. So I crumpled up the paper, grabbed my truck, and I zipped over to my garage. I heard some creaking and rumbling, but I wasn't scared. Our house always made funny noises at night. But then a voice under the bed scolded, "Stop that stomach rumbling, and the child will hear you." Voices? Stomach rumbling? If that was a part of my parents' tricks, it was pretty cool. I peered into the inky blackness. 5 pairs of eyes blinked back at me. "See, now he knows we're here," the voice sighed. "One of you has broken monster rule number 1. Maintain the element of surprise." This is no trick, I thought. There are monsters under my bed. A long-necked yellow monster slid out, followed by 4 little monsters. "Rule number 2, the yellow one instructed, never block the bed. All of you scoot over." Hey, I realized that one must be the teacher. I sat up straight, mesmerized by the monster parade shuffling across my bedroom. "That's better," the teacher said. "Across the bed is now clear. Now, who knows rule number 3? The purple monster teetered on his tippy toes and gurgled, "Get the child into bed." "That's correct, Genghis. And how would you do that?" "Well, Mr. Z, I would roar my scariest roar." "All right, give it a go." Genghis took a deep breath, opened up his mouth, and let out a tiny blurp. Stomach rumbling would have had a better chance of getting me into bed than that funny little noise. I started laughing. "The child is right," said Mr. Z, shaking his head. "That was not sufficiently scary, Genghis. I'm sorry, you're not the best monster for this child." There was some creaking as Genghis slunk back beneath the bed. Before I could investigate where Genghis had gone, Mr. Z asked, "Now, who wants to get this child into bed?" The orange monster looked at the ceiling, and the red monster looked at the floor. Only the green monster looked at me. First, he stared at my toes, and he started to drool. Then he took a step toward me, and I heard that rumbling sound again. I sprang into bed so he couldn't get my feet. Mr. Z blinked. "Very unconventional, Gabe. Your stomach gurgles seem to be what this child needs." What I needed was to make sure that the so-called Gabe monster did not eat my toes. "Right, you 3. The child is now in bed," said Mr. Z. "As every monster knows, the ultimate objective is rule number 4. Who can tell me what that is?" The orange monster bounced and squeaked, "Keep the child in bed until it falls asleep." "Correct, Morgan. And how would you accomplish that?" "Shadow puppets, she squeaked again. Gabe whistled through his nose and snickered. But Mr. Z said, "Interesting idea. Try it." Morgan hopped onto the night table and flailed her arms near my lamp. Silly shadows bobbled onto the wall, and a cloud of fluffy fur tickled my nose. Achoo! Morgan, stop at once, Mr. Z ordered. You're supposed to scare him, not make him sneeze. I'm sorry, but you're not the monster match either. Morgan's arms flopped to her sides and she scuttled under my bed. There was some more creaking, and then Morgan was gone. After all the sneezing, I really needed a tissue. Suddenly, a huge shadow of uncut claws loomed across my room. Awesome, I thought, and kind of scary. I froze in place. Powerful performance, Gabe, said Mr. Z. But do either of you see a problem? Oh, I know, chirped the red monster. The child is out of the bed again. Correct, Abigail, Mr. Z continued, and one of you must get him back in. Let's revisit rule number 1. Maintain the element of surprise. All at once, poof, the monsters had vanished. Then I heard some rumbling. Were they hiding in my closet, making noise to scare me? Ha! No, it was only my stomach grumbling. All this excitement was making me hungry. I tiptoed past the closet and peeked out the door. So far, so good. No monsters. And then I stepped over the squeaky stair and sneaked down to the kitchen. As I reached into the pantry, I heard some chattering going on. It was behind me. I sure hoped it wasn't that toe-loving Gabe. I yanked open the fridge. Ha! It wasn't Gabe. It was just the red monster shivering on the shelf. Found you, I laughed. Nice try, Abigail, said Mr. Z. But this isn't working. You're not the right monster for this child. But Mr. Z, she whined, it's not my fault he's not scared of me. I'm sorry, Abigail. Let's go. Abigail clumped behind Mr. Z, and when I heard the creaking, I knew she was gone too. I grabbed some crackers and I headed upstairs, wondering if Gabe was gone too. I munched all the way down the hall, then went into the bathroom to brush my teeth again. And when I opened the door, a minute later, Gabe was definitely not gone. He was right there and he was huge. I charged into my room and I slammed the door. And when I leaped into bed, I knew my toes would be safe. Whew. I was surprised to hear breathing under my bed, ragged breathing, and stomach rumbling. Hey, kid, Gabe growled. Good to see ya. I pulled my covers up tight. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to start the evening with an ominous puddle of drool. I peeked over the edge of the bed and green ooze spread soundlessly from underneath. Ew. And then the bed quivered as Gabe unfurled his spiked tail. Well, this looks quite promising, Mr. Z noted. And when I heard some more creaking, I knew definitely that Mr. Z was gone. I was alone with Gabe. Gabe loomed over my bed and began sharpening his uncut claws on my bedpost. How did you get so big, I gasped. Rule number 5, my friend, he explained. People food makes monsters grow. So, many thanks for the crackers. Got any toes I can munch? I scrunched in my feet so Gabe couldn't get them. This was way better than playing with my trucks. No toes tonight, but you can have this, I offered, tossing a stuffed monster off the bed. Gabe dove for it. His soft, comforting snorts filled the room as he snuffled the toy, and I shivered. Kid, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. No other monster can scare me like you, I giggled. Gabe was the monster for me. His snorts and his ooze were just perfect. I yawned and then shivered again. And then I was fast asleep in no time. The end. Thank you for coming and joining us and reading this How I Met My Monster story. There'll be a monster series to follow along. Check out for the next one. Bye.